Recording is on.
All right, thank you for joining me today.
All right, thanks, Mark.
And I'm going to ask for the people to mute for just a moment here. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. We will have an opportunity for questions and answers as we go, so we'll open up the mics at that time. For now, though, I'll ask that everyone stays muted. I'll bring the mics back up at the right time. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Dave Halton, and I am your AI for Printers workshop host. Today's workshop is about using LinkedIn to build deeper relationships with nonprofits and using the LinkedIn Posts for Nonprofits AI workflow prompt. And we'll use that as a real practical example of how AI workflows turn AI guesswork into something that you and your team can actually rely on. And just so you know, when you hear me use the term AI workflows during the workshop, I'm simply talking about a structured AI prompt that's designed to guide the work that it does with you step by step, so the results are consistent instead of hit or miss. And that'll become obvious as we go through the workshop. Today's workshop, we will be hands-on because it's just much easier to learn about AI when you actually put it underneath your fingertips. So get ready with your favorite AI tool. That could be ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, any of them. They'll all work. And if you don't have a favorite yet, just go to chatgpt.com and create an account. It takes about 30 seconds, and the free version that you create there, that'll work for everything that we're doing here today. So most printers I talk with aren't asking, should we use AI? That question's been answered. That's a definite yes. The question that they're asking is really much more telling than that. They're asking, why does trying harder with AI still feel like I'm guessing on what to do with AI? And speaking of guessing on what to do, I'm going to guess that my screen went off here again. So that just seems to be a thing that's happening with my meeting software. So I am going to have to probably reshare a few times during our time here today. So I think that's back up there now. That's our agenda. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. So again, the big question is, why does trying harder with AI, why does it still feel like I'm guessing on what to do with AI? You might try a prompt, you get results that'll look decent. Then you'll try again tomorrow. Maybe the results will be a little bit different or generic, or maybe not quite lined up with how you actually work. And so the problem isn't effort. It's that most people are using AI like a one-off tool instead of a repeatable system. And when you use AI that way, you're going to be either underwhelmed or overwhelmed, or land somewhere between fear and confusion. And so before we dig in, I just want to be really clear about what we're here to accomplish today. The goal isn't to understand LinkedIn strategy better. The goal is to leave this workshop with a posting series that puts you in front of a specific nonprofit. So when a job comes up, you're already the printer they know. That's what we're building to with this specific prompt here. And we'll do it with this agenda. We're going to run the workflow. That'll be our hands-on part. You'll see the system. You'll see that this prompt is a part of a larger system. And then we'll have a few ways to keep that momentum going. Okay, so before we start, I just want to get a feel for how you and your team are using AI today. And I also want to make sure that you can find the meeting chat because we will be using that in a few moments. So go ahead and find that meeting chat. That's the word bubble icon on your screen in the meeting tools there, and enter A, B, C, or D for the way that describes how your team is using AI. A is you're using AI, but your team does not. B, a few people on my team use AI casually. C, my team has a structured approach for using AI. Or maybe you're D, maybe you don't have a team and you're working solo. So whatever answer is most closely aligned to how you're using AI, that's what we want to see. I see a lot of B's in there today, almost 100% B. So a few people on my team using AI casually. All right, good. And you all proved that you found the chat, the meeting chat. So that's mission accomplished. Let's talk a little bit more about why you're here today. Most likely you heard me talk about the simple version of the LinkedIn Posts for Nonprofits prompt either at aiforprinters.com, or perhaps you caught wind of this workshop through my posts on LinkedIn. Some of you requested the upgraded version of that simple prompt at aiforprinters.com so you can get even better results. We'll walk through that too. But for today's big win, I'm going to show you the AI workflow version of the prompt. And that's the one everyone actually wants, because that's the one that helps you get real, meaningful work done with AI. It's the version of the prompt that produces the high value results. And you'll get today's LinkedIn posts for nonprofits AI workflow prompt in just a moment. But let's build up to it first by looking at the simple prompt. And honestly, this prompt is borderline basic, and I hope you don't use it, kind of. But I'll still show it to you so that you can use that as the reference point to better see where we're going. So there's the prompt on the screen. Ask me for the name of a local nonprofit and one sentence about what they do. Then write one LinkedIn post I can share as a commercial printer that shows I understand their mission and the communication challenges they face. Keep it educational and authentic, no sales language. That's it. That's the whole prompt. So I'm going to show you that. I did pre-run that because I did want to go through that quickly. And AI does exactly what we asked it to do. It asked us for the name of a local nonprofit and one brief sentence describing what they do. And I did that. I gave it the name of a local nonprofit. For the brief sentence, I just gave it the web address, and it did a good job. It went out and found that information, and then it went in and it wrote a LinkedIn post. And if we look at that LinkedIn post, we'll see that it is indeed a LinkedIn post that matches up with this organization, blah, 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 blah. Not a whole lot different than a lot of LinkedIn posts. It's a simple prompt. So you're going to get kind of simple results. That's what we're seeing on the screen. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but we're going to use that to set the stage, because now we want to upgrade that prompt. And here's what an upgraded prompt looks like. A few things to point out on this is you can see, I won't read the whole prompt, but I'll look at it a little bit. A few things that are worth noting. We're telling this upgraded prompt, you are a LinkedIn content strategist who specializes in helping commercial printers build credibility with nonprofit organizations. We've assigned a very specific role for AI in this time. And we've told it to ask us multiple questions, one at a time, to help build more context. And we've told AI what to do after that. This is the prompt that you can get at aiforprinters.com. This is the upgraded version of that. So let's take a look at that. Again, staying a little bit high level. I do want to show you, and it looks like my screen dropped off again. So let me reshare that. I do not know why that is happening, but this is what is happening with my meeting software at this moment. Okay, I'm not quite sure when that dropped off. So there's the quick look at the prompt. The prompt is just everything like I just mentioned. It assigns a role to the AI. Gives it a handful of questions to ask and some work to do. If we look at that at a high level, here's what we get. So we run that in, and we give it the name of the nonprofit and one sentence describing what they do. I'm sorry, I'm still on my simple one here. Let me go back here and get the upgraded version of that. So we've given it the role of LinkedIn content strategist. And we have told AI to ask us one question at a time, the name of the nonprofit, who do we serve, what communication challenges, and on and on. And we ask it, help us make better information for this. And it does that one question at a time. And I won't go deep into these. We want to get to the workflow prompt here, but you can see we're getting more information. It's more focused, and we're getting better results. It's not that blah, blah, blah type of a prompt that we had a few moments ago. We're actually getting more meaningful results. And in this one, and this will show up in the next prompt here as well. And let me see, just got to mute our audience here. There we go. Okay, so this will show up on the next prompt as well. So we're getting a little extra feedback here. Okay. Adding some more context for that. for that prompt here. And when we're done, we do indeed get a LinkedIn posting series designed to build credibility with nonprofits, especially organizations like Down Home, while positioning us as a community advocate and thoughtful observer of important local work. Okay, and there it is. There's our posts. And we can look at those in more detail. But again, staying high level, this is the part that we just wanted to establish, is that now we're getting more meaningful work done. But that's not where we want to land. We want to land here at the workflow prompt, because this is the one that you came here for. This is the prompt I'm giving you today. This is the one that turns AI from interesting into useful. Now, before I walk through this one, I want to pause just for a second. What you've seen so far is how improving a prompt improves results. But what you're about to see is what happens when you stop trying to get the prompt right and instead let the workflow do the thinking for you and with you. When this comes up on the screen, it's going to look a lot longer than what we've done so far. That doesn't mean it's harder for you. It means AI has more to work with, which actually means there are fewer decisions for you to make to get that quality work done. So you're not expected to remember any of this. You don't have to understand how it's written. All you need to do is copy and paste and then answer the questions as it walks you through the workflow. This is you and AI working together over multiple steps. AI does the hard work. You check in to keep it pointing in the right direction. So I'll walk you through that now. And I want you to kind of notice the improvements as we progressed from a simple prompt, then to the upgraded prompt, and then to this, the AI workflow prompt. And then right after that, we'll go hands-on together when I share the LinkedIn posts for nonprofits AI workflow with you. All right, so what does that look like? This is the prompt. We already saw that on that screen. I'm going to move over to my Chat GPT. And again, this can be used on any AI. I'm just using Chat GPT at the moment. And we're going to pull this up. I pre-ran this just so we could get to the good stuff right away. And get all the way back up to the top. So when you get this, you're going to get what looks like a wall of words. And the reason it looks like it is because it's a wall of words. We just copy everything in and paste it in here. And then immediately after that, AI is going to come in its role as the LinkedIn content guide for commercial printers serving nonprofits. So copy, paste, and we run it. And then AI introduces itself and the work we're about to do. It says nonprofits tend to respond best to content that is educational, affirming, and practical because their teams are usually balancing limited time, limited resources, public accountability, and high mission pressure. Content that helps them do their work better builds trust. Content that feels self-promotional usually gets ignored. So that's, we're already sensing, like, how is AI helping us? It's coming alongside us and saying, okay, we're not out here just to pitch our stuff. We're here to show that we are helpful in the nonprofit space. And then AI says, here's the process that we're going to work through together. These 6 steps: understanding the nonprofit, defining content goals and guardrails, building a nonprofit posting strategy, developing the ideas, creating the post plus scripts and supporting materials, and final consolidation. Now, here's where it'll do something interesting. Is AI in this workflow is going to ask if we want a brief overview or do we just want to get started. So you can ask for that overview and it'll give you information. So if this is kind of new territory for you, or if you need a refresher course, AI is going to help you. Here's your overview. It'll break it down, saying how nonprofits tend to experience LinkedIn, what builds trust with nonprofits on LinkedIn, what hurts your credibility, what's the long-term strategy, and then there's your overview. Now we can get to work. Now AI is going to use our inputs to work through this one step at a time. So here we are with step 1. And I'm going to go into these details just a little bit. Then we're going to accelerate really fast so that you can get this workflow prompt going for yourself. But step 1 is AI is going to ask us for some information: the name of the nonprofit, their mission, who they serve, their size, communication challenges, any relationship you or the printer already has with this nonprofit. Now in this one, I just gave it, here's the name of that nonprofit, Down Home, and I told AI, can you get the rest of the info from downhome.org? It says, yep, sure thing, I got it. And there it is. So now we have worked together, me and AI, to do the work of step one. AI then comes back and says, let me just double check what I understand. And here it's summarizing the work that it did in step one. And it's asking me if I agree with everything that it just did. It's asking for my confirmation. Does this accurately reflect? I read through that really fast. I didn't even look at it right this moment. That's where we want you to take a few thoughtful moments to do that in a way that you can actually confirm the work of that step. Once you and AI are in agreement, you can move to that next step. And there went my screen again. This is an interesting moment here today. Let me get that back up here. Thank you, Clem, for pointing that out. Appreciate that. Okay, screen's back on. So we just did our work in step one. Again, not exactly sure where that screen dropped off, but we just saw that AI is doing the heavy lifting for us. Our job is to look at all of the information it came up with and answer the question, is this accurate? And we can say, yep, that's confirmed. And we can, but if it's not, that's where we come in and say, well, let's course correct here before we move on. That's step one. And there I see Sean, see your comment, ask AI how to fix your screen dropping. That will be my next to do after this meeting is done. So yes, absolutely. All right, so onwards we go. Step one and step two, and we have multiple steps. Now I'm not going to get into the details, but I'll just quickly scan through it because this is what you can expect at each one of those steps. AI interviewing you, getting more information to keep it going. One thing you can do, this is what's interesting here, as you reply to those answers, if you don't know the answers, just say answer for me. And you can even leave some of those answers unanswered, and AI is going to do a very good job filling in the blanks for you. Remember, you get the opportunity to confirm AI's work at each step. So it's a very safe thing to do because you are running the quality control. On and on we go. Multiple steps. I'm going to go all the way to the end, and we get to the very end where AI has indeed given us all of the posts and all of the information that we need and all of the content. Okay, it's all in there. Okay, enough of me talking. I got into the weeds. Let's get this into your hands so that you can try this. And so it's your turn to run the workflow. And I'm going to put it into the meeting chat. Let me get that in here for you. Okay, it is in the web meeting chat now. And so what you need to do now is go to that meeting chat, copy what I just put in there, paste it into your AI. Make sure you paste everything into your AI, run it, and then let your AI lead the work. So I'll give you 90 seconds to try that AI workflow. If questions come up, I'll be watching the chat, or you can open up your mic and ask your question. But for now, grab that workflow, put it into your AI, and we'll start that 90-second timer right now. So remember that one of the first things that you can do after you paste it in there, it's going to introduce itself. It's going to offer an overview. You don't have to take that overview, but you can if you just want to see the information that's there. Or you can just tell it, move on to step one. Remember that this is you and AI working together at every step. Your role in this is to come alongside AI and make sure that it is going in the right direction. You're the quality control at each one of those steps. AI is going to do an amazing job getting that information out of you. Your job is to make sure that it's using it in the right way to move the project forward. Okay, another 30 seconds, and then we'll be back together. No expectation that you do all of the work in the workflow. We just want to make sure that you're getting a taste of how that workflow is working. All right, and there is the end of our 90 seconds. So let's pause here. Even if you're in the middle of something useful, you don't need to finish this right now. What I want you to notice is this, is I want you to notice what came out of the workflow. It built a multi-post LinkedIn series around a specific nonprofit's mission. This isn't content to save for later. This is what you post this week so that when a nonprofit director sees it, they already know who you are before you ever have to reach out. That's what changes the conversation from cold outreach to a warm follow-up. You didn't have to figure out what to ask. You didn't even have to think through the steps. You didn't have to remember anything. You were always in control, and the workflow does the heavy lifting. That's the difference between just playing with AI and actually using it to get real work done. Now, if that felt easier than you expected, that's not an accident. That's what happens when AI is structured to work the way you work. Now, a quick note for anyone watching the recording. Live attendees just saw the workflow start working on their own computers. If you want to run it yourself later, you'll be able to get the exact workflow we used in today's live workshop, and I'll explain how to do that before we wrap up here. All right, now back to some live participation again. Now that you've seen the different levels of prompts, I want to do another check-in. So head back to your meeting chat there and tell me how you are using AI today. And there went my screen again. Let's bring that back up here again. Okay, there it is. So go ahead and drop that into the chat. Which one of those matches the way that you use AI today? Is it A, simple prompts like quick tasks? Is it B, upgraded prompts? Or are you using it more like a workflow prompt like what we just did? And maybe help guide your decision. Think about the difference between those. If we go back to that classic line, a small step for man, a giant leap for mankind, the distance between A and B, that's the small step. Between B and C, that's your giant leap. Okay, we're getting a variety of answers, so that's good. We got a good variety to choose from here. Okay, so what you just experienced, let's kind of think about what we just looked at here. What you just experienced is productivity with just one workflow. It's not an AI trick. It's not a limited demo. This is one productivity workflow from a larger system that we're actively refining for printers. And to me, what matters most is that it's shaped by how real printers like you actually use this stuff. As a matter of fact, that prompt that we just went through today, that was inspired by a question from one of the printers that I'm working with on their use of AI. That's a workflow that lives inside what we call the productivity toolkit. You just experienced what happens when AI brings structure to just one part of your work, and that's an important first step. But productivity alone doesn't produce meaningful business results. It's productivity multiplied by performance, multiplied by execution. That's what actually drives results. So let's zoom out for a moment. If you're responsible for sales and marketing in a commercial print shop, these are the buckets of work that you're doing every day. They're your areas of responsibility for sales and marketing. And so if we move each of those areas of responsibility up to the top of a grid and fill the columns with the tasks that need to happen in each one of those areas, we get something that looks like this. This isn't a to-do list, it's a map. Each box represents a structured AI workflow for a specific piece of work. And this can look like a lot, but here's what you need to understand. You're not meant to use all of this, not all in one sitting. In fact, the goal for the first 30 days is to use just 3 workflows. To use the target account list to help you focus on the right prospects and customers, then use prospecting email templates to kickstart the sales process with those prospects and customers, and then finally using the sales playbook to lead those prospects and customers through the sales process. I don't want you to add more work. I just want to help you remove the friction from the work that's already there. And then the LinkedIn posts for nonprofits workflow that you ran just a few moments ago, that's from this toolkit too. You don't have to build it. You don't need some fancy AI architect knowledge. You just run the workflow. That's the difference between having a toolbox with labels and having the tools already built, ready to use. And when you work with a structured AI workflow, you will find that you plus AI can do the job at least 10 times faster with no compromise in quality and usually an increase in quality. Now, let's just kind of look at those lines just for a few moments. There's some important things there. I want to unpack that one. Remember that it is you plus AI. You are always in control. We're not letting AI just run wild. You are still in the driver's seat. AI is not scheduled to take over the world until later this year, I think. So we're still in control. The next part is you don't have to figure out the steps. You didn't have to decide to what to ask next. You just move forward. That's that 10x faster momentum. And then there's no compromise in quality. And that one can maybe sound a little bit bristly. It's like, really, am I using AI and there's no worries about a compromise in quality? That has to be true because you are the checkpoint. You are playing the role of quality control. And you'll notice that the quality of your work increases. That's because you're no longer guessing your way through it. And that wasn't always true, but that's becoming more and more true every day to the point where we can even remove that word usually and saying it's an increase in quality. That's the world we live in. You know, as AI has moved so fast, it's that increase in quality. It is there. Now, today's workflow was about productivity. That's getting the work you already do done faster and more consistently. But productivity alone doesn't create results. If you get the same work done faster, you're still doing the same work. Performance is where improvement happens. And performance is running small experiments, focused experiments on to improve what's working. And I need to improve the way my screen is working again here. Let's bring that back up again. So performance is running small focused experiments to improve what's working. And whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. AI doesn't just help you move faster, it helps you test ideas faster. So let's look at what that actually means in your role. If productivity gives you time back, what are you going to do with all of that time? Because if all AI does is help you move faster, but you're still guessing, then you're just guessing at a higher speed, and we don't want that. This is where performance comes in. Performance is about improving the outcomes. So we're not talking about doing more work. We're talking about doing better work. And that starts by being clear about what you're actually trying to improve. So in plain English, what's on your screen now are outcomes. These are the things that you're responsible for getting better over time in the sales and marketing role for the work that you're doing. And the screen again. My apologies. I'm a victim of technology today. So there we go. Get that screen back up again. So if we look underneath those categories of the performance experiments for sales and marketing and commercial printing, you'll see a combination of experts and known strategies from those experts. I'll highlight just a few of them here for you. These will probably be recognizable names. These toolkits, the tools in this toolkit, that represents tens of thousands of dollars of world-class consultant level work completed at the speed of AI. We're getting world-class results and we're compressing clock time and calendar time. And remember, you don't have to use all of it. You just need to know it's there when you're ready. It's not random inspiration. This is structured performance thinking. Each box in this grid is an experiment that runs as an AI workflow. That means we could run any of these AI workflows, just like we did a few moments ago with the LinkedIn posts for nonprofits. And we could run those as a simple copy-paste exercise to start a process. And we add the context as AI interviews us at each step of the workflow. Here's what AI does differently. It lets you run those experiments quickly without hiring consultants, without weeks of planning, and without guessing where to start. You can get going very quickly with that. And here's the rule of business. Whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. Everything in the performance experiment toolkit can be turned into a bunch of experiments to help you increase the performance and effectiveness of your business. AI will help you run those experiments very quickly and very efficiently. AI will draw the information out of you. It'll bring things to the surface that you might not have ever thought about, and it'll get you working with the knowledge of a world-class expert to help you with that performance experiment. It is an experiment, so out of those 10 experiments, most will improve something. One experiment might feel like a fail. That's just kind of the nature of experiments sometimes. And one might change everything. But you don't find that change everything, that breakthrough, by thinking about it. You find it by running the experiments. And that's where speed changes the game. AI is not going to just give you ideas. It'll help you test those ideas 10 times faster. So imagine that you and I are exactly equally skilled, and you run 2 experiments this quarter. I run 20. Who improves faster? Who learns faster? Who adapts faster? That's why I can say whoever runs the most performance experiments wins. And now you can run them too with the world-class expertise baked right in. So remember how we started this workshop. You ran the LinkedIn Posts for Nonprofits workflow. Just one workflow, and it worked. You didn't have to figure out what to ask. You didn't have to design the steps. You just move forward to get results. Now, here's the bigger idea. If one structured workflow can change how you complete just a single task, what happens when you apply that same structure across your entire sales and marketing role? I'm not talking about random prompts or scattered experiments. There's no try this and hope it works moments. I'm talking about a complete execution system built specifically for commercial printers. This is including productivity, so your daily work moves faster, performance, so the improvements are intentional, and then execution, so nothing stalls out. That's the difference. And honestly, most printers aren't operating this way yet. They're still experimenting with AI. They're trying the prompts, but they don't have the structure. And without the structure, AI becomes just another interesting idea that never quite turns into consistent execution. So that execution part, that's a big part of this. The AI Workflow Toolkit membership is what gives you that structure. It moves you beyond casual AI usage and into a system that runs your sales and marketing with intention. It's a system that keeps your sales and marketing efforts moving forward. Even when production is slammed and you're overloaded, the system will help keep you moving forward. So as we wrap up, here's the simple bullet point view of what continuing actually looks like. Continuing means access to both toolkits built specifically for sales and marketing and commercial printing. You can share the workflows with your team. New workflows, exactly like the one that we went through today, actually. They're added as we refine them based on real printer use. And every other week, we meet in the AI Roundtable to look at what's working and help you apply this inside your business. So you're not subscribing to a collection of AI workflows. You're subscribing to a living execution system built for printers who want their sales and marketing to stop stalling. Membership, it's $199 per month, or you can choose the annual option for $19.99. That saves you almost $400. We're still in early access mode. The workflows are already proven and in use, but we just haven't done the full public launch yet. So early access reflects how we're rolling this out before we make it broadly available, which will happen by the end of this quarter. So the early access pricing is still in play. Most printers will know in the first month or two whether this is helping them. That's why it's monthly, and you can cancel at any time. Whenever I'm deciding if something is worth doing, here are 3 simple questions that help me make that decision. First question is, will this get me closer to my goals? If your goal is to run a more streamlined AI-powered sales and marketing operation without adding more chaos, without adding another person, and without guessing, then yes, this moves you in that direction. You've already experienced what structured AI workflows feel like. So the question isn't whether they work. The question is, do you want that consistent structure? Second question, does this increase the chances of success versus doing it alone? And you absolutely can piece this together alone on your own. But that usually means trial and error, filtering out all of the AI noise, trying to stay ahead of the next big update, which really just seems to happen every week now, and just one more thing claiming space in your mind. This system gives you proven workflows for printers, plus that execution rhythm, so work actually moves forward, and that dramatically increases the odds that this actually sticks. And then that third question, can I realistically make this investment work? For most printers, that's not a philosophical question, it's a practical question. If the workflow saves you an hour a week, if better follow-up lands one additional job, if you can get better sales and marketing results with less thinking required, well, then the math kind of takes care of itself. And so if you can answer yes to those three questions, then continuing makes sense. And there's a link coming on the next screen, and I'll put it in the chat too, so that you can have that path. And if not, that's fine. Just make sure that you take the LinkedIn posts for nonprofits workflow and put it to work. You can do that today. Before you leave today, just write down the name of one nonprofit in your area, one whose work you already respect. Run the LinkedIn for Nonprofits workflow this week and build a posting series around their mission. Just post the first one. That's your one job. You don't need a sales conversation. You just need to show up where they can see you. So either way, don't leave empty-handed. All right, most printers will leave a workshop like this pretty excited and then get pulled back into the grind of production. That's normal. So if you're serious about implementing this, we need to structure your first 30 days properly. And let me get that screen. It just isn't sticking today. So let me get that back up one more time. Because it is important that you see this 30-day AI momentum sprint. Let me also make sure I get the link in the chat here for you as well. So the 30-day AI momentum sprint. That's something I offer separately for $500. That includes a private implementation session to get you going right away. So if you enroll before 4 p.m. Central Time today, I'll include that sprint at no additional cost. Here's what that means. We schedule a private 30-minute implementation session where we map your first workflows to your priorities. You will then receive a 30-day customized execution plan. And over those 30 days, I will personally hold you accountable so that this doesn't become just another good idea that fades away. The goal isn't more information. The goal is momentum. And then after those 30 days, you transition fully into the roundtable rhythm with everyone else. All right, so to wrap things up, I'd like to share why I'm doing this. I started exploring AI because I wanted to make sure that my company, Marketing Ideas for Printers, was prepared for a world about to be saturated with AI. But it became so much more than that. For me, this is personal. I've spent my career helping printers succeed. I've never seen a shift like this one before. AI isn't a trend, it's a transformation. And you can approach this transformation not with fear, but with confidence. I want you to have the tools and the confidence and the support not only to keep up with AI, but to actually lead with AI. That's why we have this, the AI Workflow Toolkit membership. It's built specifically for printers like you because it fits perfectly with our promise of helping you sell more printing. And that brings us to the end of the workshop itself. Everything you need to start using today's LinkedIn post for nonprofits workflow, everything that you need is complete. If you're watching the recording, you're in a good place to take what you've seen today and apply it on your own time. Just remember, without structure, this just becomes one more good idea that fades. If you want the structure and the rhythm, the link to get started with the membership is there. Now, for those of you who are attending live, I'm going to stop the recording and stay with you for a few moments to answer questions or help you think through how this might apply in your business.